So, John, here we are at the Tour Series. Just tell us about what it's like, the criteria for selecting a team for a race like this.
First of all, you pick a manager. So we're going to use Christian House for the whole of the Tour Series here. The team's going off to do a couple of other stage races while the Tour Series is on. Tour of Japan and the Tour of Beauce as well. So it starts with that. It starts with Christian. So Christian's going to be in charge for the whole of the series. And then after that, it's about, over the years, we've adopted various sort of approaches to the Tour Series. One being that we rotated the riders to try and keep them as fresh as possible. We have a debrief after every round of the Tour Series, at the end of the Tour Series, and then we have a debrief at the end of the year. And one of the things that came up from the riders, the feedback that they give us, is that they actually prefer it if they keep the same team for the Tour Series, even though they accept that rotating them will keep them fresh. They just feel by not changing too many of the team keeps everybody on song. They know who's going well each week, and they get a feel for the other riders. So how tired the other teams are getting as well. So we've taken that on board this year, and we'll probably, even though we've got I think 11 the Tour Series allowed us to register, we'll probably keep it to 6-7 riders at the most that we will rotate during the whole Tour Series. In the past, we've also looked at pulling riders out of the Durham round, for example, because of the climb in it and so on. Again, we've looked at the stats for that, and to be honest, it doesn't actually, the climb, we've still got Clancy has done a good ride in it in the past. So, if you like on paper, you'd say Ed was probably the weakest rider up a climb, but actually. He's done well in that round, so we'll keep it here. So the criteria for us this year, based on feedback from the riders, is that we'll keep it tight, same 6 or 7. Obviously, we've got others registered in case of injuries, crashes, and so on and so forth that might happen. But that's the idea.
Is there a particular type of rider that suits the Tour Series?
I think so, yeah, I think there is. Over the years, as you know, this team has had Antipodeans, Aussies and New Zealanders in the team. They certainly get it straight away, and we've seen the Americans come over and ride the Tour Series, and they've just not quite got it. It is quite a unique, our criteriums are a little bit unique in comparison to other criteriums around the world, so I do think it does suit a certain rider. What that makeup of that rider is, I don't know. I've seen climbers do well. I mean, Bibby's going to ride tonight for us, for example. You wouldn't have him down as an out-and-out crit rider, so to speak. I mean, he's just a very, very talented rider. And I think the really, really talented riders will be able to ride a criterium here, as long as they're prepared to put their balls on the line, so to speak.
Yeah.
It is that style of racing, and no quarter given, especially the Tour Series, of the importance for all the sponsors, all the team sponsors, not just ours, but every sponsor in the Tour Series want their teams to do well. So it's an important series, and and it is. There's no question that they are the most physical, should we say.
So finally, just tell us about the criteria for winning the Tour Series. I mean, in the beginning, in the early days, it was the top 3, then it went to the top 5. In 2018, what is it going to take to win the Tour?
Well, it's going to be top 4. They've changed it to the top 4. Personally, I don't think that's a good formula. I think it should be top 3. We fed that back to the organisers, but they've gone sort of halfway house and gone for 4. The trick is not having one bad round. If you have one bad round, then you that's 7 points to make up. You'd have to win 7 more rounds just after one bad round. So the trick definitely is not to have one bad round. Whether or not that's a trick or there's an element of luck involved with that, there's no question. In the formative years of the Tour Series, I remember a couple of rounds I think it was in Plymouth or Portsmouth, right down in the south, where we punctured riders in the last 3 laps or something of the race, and there's no laps out when it was laps out, and there's no chance of them getting back on, sort of thing. So you'd score really, really low points, and then because of the point scoring system, you're gonna have to win the next rounds, and you'll run out of rounds. We've got 8 rounds and 10 counting events, because the Stevenage has got the extra round, and as has Durham, so on. So it's only 10 counting events now. So you lose a round or you don't finish a round completely because of an absolute disaster, that's a 10-point deficit you've got to make up. You could run out of rounds. If you won every single round afterwards, it would take somebody else being snookered, so to speak.